Jai Shri Radhe. Today is day 182 and the Varta is 166, the story of Paporiya, guard at Srinathji's Lion Gate. Bhav Prakash. This is a devotee of Rajasi disposition. In the eternal Leela, his name is Raso Gop, who was a guard in Sri Nandaraji's palace. He manifests from Rasatmaka and is thus a personification of her divine loving sentiment. He was born into a family of Sanadhya Brahmin in Gopalpur, that is, present-day Jatipura. His parents died when he was 20. There was no one else in his home. He approached Sri Gosaiji and requested him to accept him as his disciple and grant him some service. Sri Gosaiji initiated him with the Lord's name and gave him service as a door guard at Srinathji's Lion Gate. He said, Singapore, "Oh, Roop, please carefully guard Srinathji's Lion Gate and partake of Mahaprasad every day at his temple." Part 1. Paporiya's Seva was to guard the gate into Srinathji's temple. One afternoon, Srinathji came and woke him up with a stick. He said, "I'm hungry." Paporiya immediately got up and went to where Sri Gosaiji was taking his afternoon nap. He pressed his feet to wake him up. When he woke up, he saw that Srinathji's gate guard was standing there. He asked him, "Why have you come here at this time?" Paporiya explained, "O Maharaj, I have come here because Sri Govardhanaji is hungry." Sri Gosaiji straight away went to the temple and offered the Lord more lunchtime preparations. When he had completed the rest of the seva, he returned to his bed and again took to rest. Paporiya went back to his duties guarding the door. There onwards, Paporiya had the direct experience of the beloved Lord, who would tell him if he wanted anything. In the hot summer, he got Paporiya to fan him. In this way, the Lord greatly blessed Rupaji. There are many There are many such tales told about Paporiya. Long after Paporiya left his body, all the Vaishnavas gathered together to perform his last rites. When Sri Gosaiji heard about his demise, he said, "Everything happens according to the Lord's wish. Sri Govardhanaji's wish is very powerful." In this way, Paporiya was graced by Sri Gosaiji and was an accomplished Vaishnava. Part 2. Once Sri Gosaiji had come to Srinathadwara to have the holy sight of Sri Govardhanaji. He bathed in Govind Kund and was returning to the temple when a dog came before him and tried to touch his feet. The Vaishnavas who were accompanying Sri Gosaiji started to beat the dog with sticks to shoo it away. It was losing blood, but it would not budge. Sri Gosaiji told him to stop beating the dog and also told them all to go away. Sri Gosaiji looked at the dog with his eye of wisdom and recognized it. He allowed it to touch his feet. He then put his foot on its head and felt very pleased with the dog. He told all the Vaishnavas to stay away from the dog, and the dog at that very moment died and left its body. A super bright light exited the dog's mouth. The light went and merged into Sri Thakurji's lotus feet. Sri Gosaiji addressed the Vaishnavas who were present. "Please perform this dog's last rites. This will not present any hindrance in your devotion. It is my command." The Vaishnavas had the dog cremated. Sri Gosaiji bathed and entered Seva in Srinathji's temple. When all his Seva was completed, he came to sit in his betak. The Vaishnavas inquired of him, "O Maharaj, who had this dog been in its previous life? What kind of offence led to him being born as a dog? Pray tell us." Sri Gosaiji spoke. In his previous life, this dog had been Sri Govardhanaji's door guard. His name was Paporiya. One day he was preparing the ghee wicks for the Rajbhog Aarti of Sri Govardhanaji. The wick had gone out, so Paporiya went into Sri Govardhanaji's store, took some ghee, which he warmed up. He put the ghee into his palm and soaked the wick in it. He then washed his hands with soil and sand. However, some of that ghee stayed under his fingernail. It was hot. The ghee went under his fingernail, melted and went into the prasad. He ate it and Srinathji's unoffered ghee went into his stomach. He was therefore reborn as a dog as a result of this offence. This is a fact about any and every item that belongs to the Lord himself. Bhav Prakash. This story teaches us that Vaishnavas must always take the utmost precaution when dealing with Sri Thakurji's unoffered things, whether they be foodstuffs, other things or money itself. This is because if even unknowingly anything that belongs to Srinathji is unoffered to him and is unoffered to him enters the stomach, then this story shows what might happen to the partaker. In this way, using the story of Paporiya, Sri Gosaiji is making this important point. Otherwise, beings like Paporiya would never meet such a fate. Sri Thakurji manipulates such amazing situations in order to give such wonderful and precise teachings to his own souls. Part 2 continued. Sri Gosaiji continued After some time, Paporiya left his body. From having a human body, he now entered the womb of a dog. He was born as a dog, but he had performed a lot of seva to the Lord, and so, whilst in the body of a dog, he still remembered his previous life. Therefore, he totally avoided his parents and other relatives, had nothing to do with them, and came to sit at the foot of Sri Govardhan mountain and stared up at the flag on top of Srinathji's temple. This is why he tried so hard to get the touch of my feet, and suffered so much beating for the sake of it. When the Vaishnavas learnt from the instruction that to beat the dog was an offence, they spoke up, "Oh no, we beat such a Vaishnava, we didn't know, but still it is bad that we did so. We were just worried that the dog would touch Sri Gosaiji." Sri Gosaiji understood what they were thinking and told them not to worry. Everything that happened was the Lord's will. When he took such a beating, it was because of his previous offences. In his previous existence as Paporiya, when anyone asked him about what time the temple doors would open, he would answer them angrily. From this behaviour he suffered so many blows. Now, however, there is no hindrance to his devotional reward. Therefore he has found his destiny in Srinathji's lotus feet. From this you should learn to always speak to Vaishnavas with respect and patience. When a cloth is perfectly clean, any mark on it will immediately be visible, whereas it will not show up upon a dirty cloth. This is how he taught his Vaishnavas. Thus concludes Varta 166, the story of Paporiya, who was the recipient of Sri Gosaiji's great grace and an accomplished Vaishnava. There is no end to his tale. Continuing now with Varta 167, the story of one untouchable from Govardhan, Bhav Prakash. This is a devotee of tamasi disposition. In the eternal Leela, her name is Vanarani. She lives in the Kusum forest and belongs to the group of Pulindi gopis. She manifests from Rasatmaka and is thus a personification of her divine loving sentiment. One day Sri Thakurji, taking his cowherd friends with him, went out to the forest to graze the cows. One of the cows got separated from the herd and wandered into the Kusuma forest. When Sri Thakurji realized this, he told his friends to stay there to look after the cows, and he entered the Kusuma forest alone. This is when Vanarani caught sight of him. She approached him and spoke up, "O Maharaj, I have been tending this forest glade for a long time for your sake. Now today I have met you, and we are all alone. Please enjoy some of the lovely fruits and flowers that are in this forest, and please fulfill my heart's desires." Sri Thakurji said, "If I am late going back, then all my friends will come here to look for me. Therefore please do not hold me back. And also, the gopi Shyamlaju resides here, and if she found me here with you, she would be displeased." However, Vanarani was stubborn. She said, "O Maharaj, please eat these fruits of this forest and satisfy my desires. When will we get this opportunity again?" Sri Thakurji is always very kind to his devotees, and so he happily ate the fruits that Vanarani presented to him. He went into her bowers and made her happy in many ways. One Sakhi saw this and went to tell Shyamlaju. She came there and saw that Vanarani was on her own with Sri Thakurji and that they were chatting and laughing together. She stayed at a distance watching. Sri Thakurji caught sight of her and told Vanarani, "I have to go now. Shyamlaju is here. Be careful." Sri Thakurji left by the back way, and Vanarani tidied her clothes and adornments. Shyamlaju came to her there and asked, "How long was Sri Thakurji here with you?" Vanarani replied, "Sri Thakurji did not come here." Shyamlaju asked her, "Why are you even bothering to tell these lies? I saw him with my own eyes." Vanarani said he had come here to look for a cow. When he had found it, he left straight away. Shyamlaju said, "You are telling me lies. Go and be born on the earth. You will be born into a low caste." She was born as a boy in an untouchable family in Govardhan. One day when he was 10 years old, he was walking in a narrow path in Govardhan when a snake bit him. He fell down in the alley. At that very time, Sri Gosaiji was riding his horse on the way to Gokul. When he saw the boy lying in the middle of the pathway, he asked his valet, "Who is that? Why is he lying in the road?" The valet approached the boy and told Sri Gosaiji, "It is a boy who seems to be dead after being bitten by a snake." Sri Gosaiji dismounted and came close to the boy. He recited some Vedic mantras and sprinkled some water over the boy, who then regained consciousness. Sri Gosaiji asked him, "Who are you?" He replied, "O Maharaj, I am an untouchable. A snake bit me. You have brought me back to life. Now I take shelter in you alone." Sri Gosaiji recognized that he was a divine soul and initiated him as a disciple with the Lord's name. He instructed the boy to constantly recite the 8-syllable mantra of refuge. Sri Gosaiji then returned to Srinathadwara and the boy went home. He told no one what had happened. Thereafter he spent his whole time meditating on Sri Gosaiji's form and reciting the 8-syllable mantra. He did nothing else. It was not long before his parents died. He began to farm for a living. By the grace of Sri Gosaiji, Srinathji began to grant him his direct experience and spoke with him. We will take rest from the Varta today, here, and will continue tomorrow with the rest of this fascinating story. So how here we have seen that both the dog and the untouchable should never be disregarded, for they can also be very accomplished Vaishnavas. Jai Shri Radhe, Sab Vaishnavan ko Jai Shri Krishna, Shri Gosain Ji Parama Dayalu ki Jai ho, Vadai ho, Jai Jai Shri Radhe.